Attention viewer, you are watching the world's biggest monster truck diecast YouTube channel. This is Monster Jam OCD.
Hello Monster Jam fans, and welcome back to another Monster Jam OCD review video. Today's review is unlike anything I've ever done before and anything I ever will do again. It is a culmination, a coming to fruition moment, a crown jewel of 19 years of doing this, collecting and chasing down trucks and trying to get every single one of the Hot Wheels Monster Jam era, which of course is how this channel started. It's how I started with Monster Jam in general. It's what's led me down this path of a crazy journey that led me to actually working for the company. And there is no doubt in my mind that what we're going to do here today is historic to me and the crowning of the end of my collecting era of Monster Jam diecast. Now, it's no secret that I haven't been on this YouTube channel much, and that's not by design. I just have a very busy job on the road producing and overseeing Monster Jam events on various arena series now. I've been a part of 3 of them, 2 of them in a managerial role, which currently I am doing on Arena Championship Series East as the production stage manager. And quite honestly, and unfortunately, that job does take priority over my diecast reviewing one. And in addition to that, a month ago, I got word that my Spin Master contact has left the company, and no longer do I have a contact at Spin Master to provide trucks for review. So with that said, today's video was planned to be my last review on this channel. However, I've decided against that in the event that I do want to do random reviews from time to time and not shudder away the fans who want to still watch this channel. However, today is the end of an era for collecting, and that comes with a heavy heart and a bittersweet sense of gratitude and fulfillment that I never thought I would find with this sport, this hobby, this crazy, again, journey that I've been on for 19 years now. Since my 6th birthday in 2006 until now in 2025, it has almost been 20 years of collecting, which means that for about half of that, I've been chasing down one particular truck ever since I started collecting. And many of you, if you've watched this channel for a long time, if you've been part of it for any more than a year or so, you've heard the word Inferno said and reminisced about, mentioned several times in podcasts and in passing. And if I tell you my story, if you sit down with me long enough, Inferno is bound to be brought up as the truck that I have never been able to find, that has slipped through my grasp and on eBay bidding wars twice in a row, and is one that I was content with never having. It was the unachievable, and I eventually conceded to that fact that it was unachievable, and that was fine. It irked me. I still searched for it. I still put a search alert on eBay, and for about 7 or more years, that search alert on eBay has notified my phone every single day that there is a new listing for Hot Wheels Monster Jam Inferno. But of course, with its rarity, with its unicorn status, it was never actually Inferno 2003, except for 2 instances, both of which did not end up in my collection. And after that point, again, I accepted the fact that I'll probably never get it, and moved on with life, with it still burning in my mind, still checking eBay every night, still trying, but being content that it would never come to fruition. But today, with the grace of keeping a positive mindset over, quite honestly, about a decade and a half of chasing this truck down, always thinking that maybe, just maybe, one day there will be a day where I can actually say that I've found it, say that I've completed the collection, and put this collecting craziness to rest. That day is today. And I want to start this video by thanking the person who sold it to me, which is Fran Rock from Facebook, Monster Truck Collecting. Fran and I went back and forth for about a month and a half on this deal, of course, which I'm not going to disclose for his side of things and mine, how much and how it went down, but I just want to say thank you to Fran, because without him, this would not have been possible. I'm well aware of that fact. And second, I want to dedicate this video to everyone who has been part of this journey. My family, my father specifically, who until about 2015 was part of the collecting journey with me. You obviously know he narrated my collecting videos back in the early days of this channel. He has been part of the majority of the purchases with this. I've discussed deals with him, bad deals, good deals, deals we didn't do, and deals we did, even though they were sketchy and handshake deals that led to some of the biggest additions to the collection, including the Scatozoids and so on. But today, this deal that was cut was nothing but my own. Years of savings and putting money aside just in the case that this truck would pop up worked out in a beautiful way, because not only does this get to happen on this channel, but for those who have watched and seen the progression of the channel because of this truck, I have done everything I've done. It was the fuel, in no pun intended way, behind everything I've done with this channel. The urge to find it, the urge to keep collecting, the urge to take the job with Spin Master, which led me to Feld Entertainment, which led me to a job that I love more than anything in the world, traveling and seeing things that I never thought I would see. It all begins and ends with this truck. And it's an incredible thing to say that one measly, niche, unique, die-cast, canceled truck would lead someone's life to become something they never thought it would be. And yet we all start and have our own unique ways of getting to where we are. And because of a die-cast, canceled 2003 truck, I can safely say it's a huge piece of who I am and what I am with Monster Jam today. With Spin Master, what I was formerly now, the former brand ambassador of Spin Master Monster Jam, it is everything with this channel and everything I've done with it. So I know I might be repeating myself here, and this has been a long introduction, but trust me, when you review this truck, there's actually not much to talk about with the design aspects. So it's more about the history and the mightiness that comes with the unboxing of it, and the introduction of it is more important, I think, than the review, as the journey has been more important and more crazy and incredible than the truck getting into my collection itself. You know, the cliche quote that I'm going to use here today is, the journey is more important than the destination. And truly, as incredible as this is about to be, the journey has been so wild, so unpredictable, so unforeseen, and yet so amazing at the same time, that the review of this diecast truck isn't even the point of this video. It is just to put it all in one recorded video for posterity, for the future version of me that will watch this day and watch this video back and say, wow, I remember that day. And I remember the 19 years that led up to that day. So without further ado, you guys know what this is going to be about, the thumbnail, the title, all that. But if you stuck through that 8-minute introduction, I appreciate you. It means you are one of the dedicated people who have kept me doing what I do. And there is nothing else to say besides, let's get into it. Today on the channel, we are reviewing the 2003 number 40 Inferno canceled prototype truck by Hot Wheels, Monster Jam, and Mattel. Something I never thought I'd say on this channel, but yet here it is today. The two trucks in the frame right now are its placeholder, which was the Flashfire Monster Jam truck from 2003. We'll talk a lot about this in a moment and why it came to be, but this is its sister truck, Flashfire, and its retro replica truck from 2018 that my friends at the time at Mattel actually made because of my story of Inferno. The 2018 flashback truck Inferno, as a temporary placeholder alongside Flashfire, have kept the shelf warm, but never warm enough for the actual thing. That's why these are in frame. We'll talk about them again in a moment. But we're actually going to do this live. I didn't want to steal the moment from you guys. I have not opened this yet on camera at all. I've only unsealed the box to show you guys live and to share with you, the dedicated viewers, the actual revealing of this truck. Ignore the cracking of my studio. It hasn't been used in a while. The sun has damaged it. But this is a little behind-the-scenes peek you guys don't usually see beyond the frame. But this box came from New York overnight. It came from Fran Rock, who is now, I can call him safely, a friend and a trusted seller. If you guys want to buy something from Fran, he is currently selling a lot of rare things from his personal collection. But he has packed it well, and it's in here, alongside another truck that's extremely rare that we'll do another review on, completing the collection, the set. but I want to make sure I grab the right truck here. It's not this one. It's going to be this side. So this is live. This is in person. This is happening in full view for you guys for the first time ever. Something I never thought I'd do. I am hesitant to turn it around because this is truly the end of an era, and there's no taking it back. But there's also no beautiful way to do it than to share it with all you who have been here through it all. This baseball card holder contains the truck that has been the bane of my existence and yet the fuel behind everything I've done with this channel. And here it is, for the first time on this channel, the 2003 Inferno prototype from Mattel and Hot Wheels Monster Jam. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. There's almost no words to describe how surreal, insurmountable it feels to finally have something you've been chasing for that long in your hands. It's incredible. So we're gonna unbox this, open it up, talk about it. Thankfully, it's loose, which of course, as you know, I open everything. I'm a loose collector. I'm glad I don't have a packaged one because I would have opened it. The temptation would have been way too strong. So I'm glad in the end it all worked out that I didn't buy that carded one on eBay that day. We'll get to that discussion in just a moment, but there's that. And then of course, alongside it, I said there was another truck in here, and there is. This will have its own separate review, but this is the also ultra rare unicorn 2002 1 million truck from MBK, the Mattel Bangkok, Thailand factory, celebrating 1 million Monster Jam trucks produced in 2002. It is inside of its original package, as you can tell, sun damaged, but we'll talk about this and separately review it. It is part of this, though, this journey. This is all coming to an end, as these were the last two trucks I needed. From the publicly accessible side, this was the completion unit. But from the other side of things, prototypes, even though I don't collect them, this is still in a weird gray zone of not a prototype, but also a prototype sample truck here, Inferno, which has just been a piece of this channel forever. So today's about Inferno. We'll do 1 million at a separate time, but it is in the collection now. I'm going to put this aside and hopefully it doesn't go anywhere. So there's the package. As you can tell, he super dilly deluxe this package here. I appreciate that, Fran. Thank you so much. Obviously, transporting things of this rarity is anxiety inducing in itself. And trust me, it was a hard 24 hours since I paid him and he shipped them out. It was a worrying 24 hours. I barely got any sleep over it, but nonetheless, it is here today. And as we remove its baseball cover, we're going to pull it out of the box for the first time. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. My gosh, it's still unreal to me. And for a truck that is really design-wise one of the most basic designs of all time, it may seem silly to some people that this has so much weight to it, but it truly does. So here it is in all its glory, in all of its magnificent tenure and stories and elusiveness, Inferno 2003. So like I said, the review portion of this is going to be very, very quick. So let's talk about the history of Inferno, because there's no better time to do it than right now to recover most things that you probably already know. But for those who are seeing this review and wondering why it's going to be a 20 to 30 minute review over one truck with a basic 2000s design, this truck was canceled back in 2003. It was pulled from production, and there's reasons behind it. And the primary reason is actually very unique in its sense that history sometimes dictates what we do with our lives and what we do with production, how companies operate, what they produce, and how they produce them. And in this case, this is directly tied to September 11th, 2001, the terrorist attacks that happened in New York City and the Pentagon and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. The pulling of these production units was due to the sensitive fact that the name Inferno did not resonate with the time frame and the time period that America was going through at the time, and the United States healing and grieving and mourning the loss of life that day. The idea that Inferno as a toy, same as Maximum Destruction, the reason for Team Ments, the same pulling of Maximum Destruction until a later year, happened with Inferno. But Infernos happened more so in the shadows than Maximum Destruction. Obviously, it was known that Maximum Destruction was happening. They pulled it and made Team Ments instead for a temporary 1-year hold. And then it came out in the following year, 2002, I believe. Maximum Destruction finally debuted at World Finals. Inferno, however, as a diecast, was quietly shoved to the side and replaced by, as you know, the Flashfire truck. And it's almost identical, and to the naked eye and to the untrained eye that isn't a collector, doesn't know the history, most people would just think they're the same thing. To dedicated collectors or anyone who's been around from the early 2000s of collecting, you know that's not the case. Flashfire was the temporary stand-in for Inferno at the last minute, changing the name from Inferno, which, of course, the attacks were described as Infernos. They pulled the units, and they created Flashfire to kind of soften the truck, but also still release it since it was a real-life truck. Inferno, not Flashfire. So Flashfire, being more towards the natural disaster side of things versus Inferno, worked, and they pulled the Inferno units, and they went forward with Flashfire. So Flashfire is not rare. It's a mass-produced truck. It was the replacement to Inferno to get the truck design, at least, still to the public, but to not ruffle any feathers with those who may be sensitive to the topic of the word Inferno at the time. Just like Maximum Destruction was not prevalent or useful at the time either. So Flashfire has been what most people have. Actually, I would say 99.99 infinite nines% of people have in their collections that think they have Inferno. They actually have Flashfire. And to be honest, I wouldn't blame you. Again, it is near identical with two major changes happening besides the logo. So Flashfire, that is pretty much the cut dry history of it and why it exists. It was never a real life truck, unlike Inferno, which looked pretty much just like this. Flashfire came and went, and no one really noticed. But the reason why this truck has been so prevalent to me is because when I started collecting in 2006, my Toys R Us that we were going to pick up all the trucks we could find, because we didn't have any at the time, they actually had this truck in stock from 2003. I guess that store just never got new stock or whatever, but the card backs were never changed to be Flashfire, or some of them weren't. At least a majority of them were Inferno. So on the backside of the card backs, you'd see the list of the collect them all the photos of the trucks, and every single one of them were publicly available. But the one elusive truck that we believed at the time was out in the public was Inferno, because on the back of the card, it said Inferno instead of Flashfire. So my dad and I spent years trying to find this truck on eBay, in stores. We could never find Inferno. And you got to remember, 2007, 2008, 2010, even then, there was no social media. I mean, there were forums that I wasn't a part of at 8 years old that were discussing this truck and the history of it. But we didn't know. As a small family trying to collect everything we could find, we had no idea Inferno was canceled. We just assumed it was just super hard to find. And kind of, in the end, ironically, that is the fact. It is just extremely hard to find, but it wasn't publicly available. So for those years and years and years of chasing it down, never found it. And I believe it was in 2014 or 2015, or maybe even 2013. I can't even remember now. It's been so long, but it's definitely been over 10 years or so. One day, out of nowhere, on eBay, I searched up Monster Jam Inferno like I did almost every day back then. I would search the keywords Monster Jam Hot Wheels Inferno 2003. And one day, out of all the days and years I searched, it popped up. And it was in box. And I ran down the stairs. I could still see this vivid memory. I went downstairs to my dad. And I said, oh my gosh, Inferno's online. And he even couldn't believe it. And we put in a bid. At the time, we didn't have enough money to outbid who in the end was actually Brian Z. Patson, one of the former master collectors of this hobby. He actually won it. And from that point forward until 2021, we never saw another one again. And it was the most heartbreaking thing, because him and I looked at that, and sure, we could have scraped together some more money and maybe won it. But it was a regret I think we both had for a long time, that we didn't plan it better. That if we ever got it on eBay, we should have had something set aside for it. But we didn't, because we never expected it to happen. So we lived with that regret. We lived with the remorse. We moved forward from it. And eventually he stopped collecting with me. I started doing it on my own. But it still sat with me that I really wanted this truck in the collection. And I tried to cut deals with people, and it just never worked out. But in 2021, or I should say more so Brian, but in 2021, a collector on Reddit came out of nowhere and posted that he had 7 units of the FEP Final Engineering Prototype samples of Inferno, which is now in existence that we know of, there are 8 Infernos ever to be produced that we currently know of, but still a handful. 8 out of how many millions, maybe even billions of trucks that were produced? That's a tiny fraction of a fraction of this collecting hobby that exists of these trucks. So when that guy came out and said he had them, I tried to negotiate with him. He didn't want to negotiate with me. So once again, I moved on and said, that's it. There is never going to be a time I get this truck. I'm going to move on. It is not going to happen. Said and done. And that was the end of Inferno for me. And sure enough, in December of last year, a month ago, I guess you would say, or almost 2, Fran, who I've kind of seen on Facebook sometimes, he has a lot of rare things, Skatazoids and whatnot. He messaged me and said he's getting out of collecting. And I originally had messaged him about the 1 million truck because that was the last publicly available truck I needed, or somewhat publicly available employee truck I needed to complete my collection. And he said, yes, I have it, but I also have this. And when this came into the picture, it was a game changer. Because not only did I know I was about to shell out a lot of money, but it was the chance to finally do the impossible with my collection, which is complete it as a total collection, complete it with every variation of every truck that was ever produced. And again, as I said in the introduction, over a month or so we negotiated, we finally figured it out. There was a lot of back and forth because obviously a lot of money on the line. Obviously, having to ship these is another anxiety of both of ours because he's shipping his crown jewel and the other one through the mail, and I'm sending him money, and it's basically a handshake deal, which I've done before, which I don't ever like doing, but I trusted him, and nonetheless, here it is today. So that's the story of Inferno and the history with the channel. It goes much deeper than that, and to me, again, it may seem silly, but it is years of my dad and I collecting, my family, my grandma, my grandpa, who are no longer here, knowing and trying to find this truck for me too. People at Hot Wheels trying to find prototype units. There was so much to it. And it's such a fond bunch of years of memories to just go through and remember just because they're so sharp and vivid with every time it popped up on eBay. But today, that all comes to an end, and it's the end of a chapter of the Inferno era, I'll call it, of my life. It's crazy. So that said, let's do what we do on this channel and review the truck because, again, getting to the final part of this review video, more so like I said at the beginning, the journey to the destination. The destination is to review it, and it's got to end somewhere. So without any further delay, here is my official review of the 2003 canceled Inferno truck, number 40 of 40, planned for the year. So as you can see, we have the standard 2003 small hub style build here with the Astro Van casting, which was, again, what Inferno in real life used. I'm sure I'll have put images on screen of various things, but right now I'll put an image on screen of the real-life Inferno. Very close to the casting. So it is the Astro Van casting that Flashfire and many other SUV trucks, until they finally got the Ford Expedition mold, used up until, I believe, 2006 or 5. So this casting was very prevalent back then. As you can see, it has the yellow roll cage, and in real life, this would have been running on a yellow powder-coated Gravedigger number 3 chassis. There is the brushed metal chassis with its original rivet in there. The small hub tires with gray rims. And there is the Inferno logo and darker orange flames with the red to black paint, dual paint spray. The USHRA logo and the Hot Wheels logo. It has a clear windshield with the standard basic flame design on the hood, a red front clip. The roof here has the yellow and red light bars, which again the real life truck did have, which is cool, and the 3 flames on the top. And this side here, same stuff, just in reverse. And compared to its sister truck Flashfire, there are actually a couple changes that they went through with Inferno to Flashfire. They actually lighten up the flames to be more yellow. As you can tell, there's a deeper, rich orange color to Inferno than there is to Flashfire. There's more of a dull yellow here going on. The Flashfire logo obviously traded out for the, or Inferno logo traded out for the Flashfire logo. A little bit more rich color to the Inferno logo. If you look at the Flashfire one, a little bit more stone gray colored compared to the darker gray color here with more blue tones to it. But the major difference from 2003, in 2003 they were actually switching from using only the USHRA logo to using the new Monster Jam logo. And the Monster Jam logo was in yellow at the time. So you can see there, this production unit, when they pulled it, they actually also updated the branding, which was using the Monster Jam logo instead. So that's the major key difference between their base designs, is that the USHRA logo was used instead of the Monster Jam logo, originally planned to be used, I should say. And there they are together, Flashfire and Inferno. And then we also have the Flashback Inferno, which again, my friends at the time who worked for Hot Wheels Monster Jam on the brand line, I talked to them about this. They were the ones that actually were looking for the prototype for me, never found it. But they said, we'll make you one. And I didn't know what that meant, but they released as the throwback or replica Flashback series that year in 2018, the last year of Hot Wheels Monster Jam. And it was really cool. It was a cool, subtle nod to the story I shared with them, and I really appreciated that. But of course, it's not anywhere close to the real thing. So there it is, Inferno 2003, the prototype that never was, the unit that never was, and a firestorm of every day for so many years looking for it, coming to a final conclusion. So thank you again to all the viewers over the last, I don't even know how many years it's been that I've had this channel going where I review trucks, but you've heard this story, you've been part of it. My family, my friends who have been part of it too, and of course, Fran, who has been the reason why this has happened today, and the various people who this truck has gone through, from Thailand to a private collection to another private collection, now to the Monster Jam OCD collection. Thank you guys for everything. We will get back to another review with the MBK 1 million truck. Of course, I want Inferno to have its moment though, so today's review has been this truck. Thank you all for watching. I will see you guys next time. This is Ryan or Monster Jam OCD, signing out.